understand you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Happy Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in once again for the Icon Cup Series here on Sim Racing Media. Tonight we are racing at Michigan International Speedway in the Michigan 240. We have a packed house, at least 35, maybe closer to 40 drivers ready to throw down tonight. Should be action-packed. Last week, Icon headed to the Music City, and we raced on the high-speed, low-banked, and extremely foggy turns of Nashville Superspeedway. Brian Smith started on pole, led the majority of the first stage, but Jonathan Duncan marched up and stole that first stage win from Smith. Jacob Smith spun down the pit road entrance on lap 30, kind of temporarily derailing his drive to the front. He was able to recover and finish in the top 5. Then stage 2 had a string of cautions that shook up the field and stirred up the pit strategies over and over and over. Nathan Finnegan, Sean Purcell, and Travis Gilbert shared the lead over the course of the stage. As Duncan, Smith, and other frontrunners had to make their way back through after some of those pit strategy mix-ups. But Brian Smith was back to the lead at the start of stage 3, and he would not give it up with the exception of a couple laps during the green flag pit cycle. Other drivers having great runs and overcoming some lower starting positions were Chuck Van Schaik and Bentley Glazer, who finished 3rd and 4th respectively. Another great race there at Nashville, and we're excited to get started here at Michigan. As always, I am Shane Cochran up in the booth. Alan Bergen here with me. Alan, how are you doing? Well, Alan, you might be on mute. I'm not hearing much, or maybe you had to take care of a quick chore. Anyway,
there we go.
There he is.
You got me now? Hey. No, anyways, look, it's Michigan. We're in the Irish Hills. You know, like you said last week at Nashville, a foggy one. Here we got a clear day, partly cloudy sky. The ambient temperature is 84 degrees, 22% relative humidity, and that track temperature is cooking. But want to give a shout out to Jonathan Davenport, Superman, Jonathan Davenport out of Blairsville, Georgia, who won last night's Dream 100 by 10 seconds, a half a track at Eldora.
Wow, what a gap there.
It was a large one. It was a large gap.
Our Icon drivers are wrapping up a 5-minute warm-up session here. And once we end this, we will take a look at our starting grid and the results of qualifying and see who's going to be on the pole here at the Michigan 240. Pretty good Michigan race a little earlier this afternoon in real life. Did you catch that one, Alan?
I did not. I was actually losing a headache from today. But holy cow, I did see the hard wreck that Alex Bowman and Cole Custer had. Oh boy.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed like it was anybody's race. Heading in about halfway through stage 3, Carson Hocevar was out leading. He was going to be short on fuel, but he was having a good run and then blew a left rear tire just before planning to pit. Completely derailed his run. That left William Byron out front, but short on fuel. Denny Hamlin was able to push him so that he used it up. He had to pit with 1 to go, and Denny Hamlin came away with the victory off the nose of Ty Gibbs, I think it was, and Chris Buescher, both hard charging at the end. Very exciting race. Hope we see something similar here with the Icon Cup Series. As I mentioned, we have more drivers tonight than I can ever remember seeing. A 38-car field. As we get ready to hit the grid, we can take a look at the results of qualifying. Looks like John Ross going to be on pole tonight. Ryan Patty outside of that front row. Braxton DeWeese and Bentley Glazer in row 2. Brian Smith and Zach Lockett, the Rocket, in row 3. Chuck Van Schaik in 7th. Jonathan Duncan 8th. Charlie Widener and Patrick Colby rounding out the top 10. Kyle Purcell and Michael Taylor in row 6. Then it's going to be Jacob Smith and Nathan Finnegan, 13th and 14th. Jacob Gladelich in 15th. Charles Woods in 16th. Kyle Gilbert. Anthony Tizio in row 9. Adam Ball and John McNeil rounding out the top 20. Ethan Van Colley, Jake Champion, Nathan Brzezowski, Jeff Dillon up through 24th. Sean Purcell, Tyrone Harris. And I was trying to get through it before they took it away from me. Evan Patinko, 27th. Thomas Taylor, Brock Hersey, Michael Jennings, Everett, Nyman, Fist, Neal, Kyle Diaz, Cody Eldred, Chris Camburn, Robert Bluen, and Jeff Dillon. I'm going to round out that 38-car field as we see everybody rolling off of pit road. This is just going to be an incredible field, and it's really going to up the ante on track position gambling when you think about pit road, Alan. You do not want to let 37 cars go by you when you decide to pit.
Yeah, no, this is going to be 37 of the fastest cars in the world, 37 of the best cars here tonight. Jeff Dillon had a hard time there in practice, decided not to take the grid. But nonetheless, here we go, 120 laps here. And stages, I would imagine, would be 50, 60.
I believe the stages tonight are 25 and 50.
Perfect.
We take a quick look at our race rundown. Yeah, it's 120 laps, 2 miles around this Michigan track. Stages at 25 and 50. 5 additional sets of tires. And as usual, up to 3 green light checker attempts if we need them. But hopefully we won't. The pace truck is off. John Ross going to lead this field to green. here under the Michigan sun. And that green flag is in the air. We are racing in the Icon Cup Series at the Michigan 240.
Yeah, headed down to turn number 1, Ryan Patty, who's on vacation last week, decided, you know what, I'm back from vacation, and here he is with the early lead coming out of turn number 2. And, you know, Shane, whoa, we got a car a little bit loose there, and that's, you know, John Ross. As they fan out 3-4 wide, here comes Brian Smith in the 78 car. He's making moves early. We're 3 wide already.
Wow, can't even pick a good camera to catch all the action here on the track. They're 3 wide for third. Brian Smith wasting no time, already up 3 positions from the start in just 1 lap. Up in front of Glazer as Ryan Patty is running away with it as everybody else is side by side behind him all the way through the field. A little further back. Oh, go ahead.
As I say, these guys are wishing that Ryan Patty was still on vacation. He's saying the boss is back. But here we are, 3-4 wide. And, you know, here's the thing, too, Shane. These tires are going to start screaming after about 20 laps.
Braxton DeWeese battling there with John Ross. So far, Jake Champion is the fastest driver on the track in that 27 car. He's got just a little bit of breathing room here in the middle of the pack, running P16. Oh, as you've got a car on the wall. That is Patrick Colby along with Nathan Finnegan. So it looks like John McNeil. There might have been a crash even further up ahead of these guys. Seeing all kinds of cars off the track. Looks like John McNeil might be where this started. Let's take a look at that. No, okay, that's a reaction to Colby and Finnegan. And I believe that's Sean Purcell, and the 74 just can't get out of the way. Cody Neal also trying to get low. Catches a little bit of contact. Everybody
free
else
landscaping
seems to be making it through. Kyle Diaz way down in the grass. And that's another part of when you have a field this big, it takes a while for everyone to drive by a wreck and try to keep it clean. But Ryan Patty still in the lead. That's going to be our first caution of the night there on lap 3.
Ryan Patty, you know, continues to lead this one here on lap number 5. It's a long ways. I mean, just 2 miles around there. So by the time we go 120 laps, we've gone 240 miles. And, you know, this track, like I said, by the time they get, you know, if they're running flat out, by the time they get to lap 15, especially the right side tires, they're going to be screaming.
Yeah, I imagine with a field this big, we'll probably have a little more cautions than we're used to, and that's going to set up a lot of opportunities for guys to try and get fresher tires, try to change up their pit strategy a little bit.
Yeah, it's 20 laps in the stage. These guys are going to get up on the wheel a little bit, and that's that sense of urgency. They get to those stage points now. Ryan Patty, you know, like I said, 37 other drivers wish that he was on vacation still.
Yeah, Looks like our leaders are going to stay out. We'll see if we have any other takers down pit road. If I'm in the back, I'm not going to waste a set of tires, but I might come down and top off on fuel just in case.
Looks like Jeff Dillon decided he was going to go ahead and race anyway, so looks like he started from the pits.
We do have one taker, number 11 of Robert Lewin.
Is that an anime car?
Let's see if we can get a better look at her. Neonism.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with anime.
Be 114 laps to go. We get back to green. Michael Taylor in 8th, up 4 positions. Charles Woods in 11th, up 5. I mentioned Jake Champion had the fastest lap earlier in the race. He's up 8 positions to 14th. Brzezowski behind him also up 8 positions. When you've got 38 positions available, it's easy to move up in big chunks. And we are back, green flag in the air. Ryan Patty leading Brian Smith and Bentley Glazer.
Here we are taking the skyrocket off to turn number 1. And it's going to be all Ryan Patty all day doing Ryan Patty things. You know, so here's the thing. I don't want to call my shot now. But, you know, Ryan Patty coming fresh off of vacation. He's been chomping at the bit to get back behind the wheel of his, you know, next gen cup car, Gen 7 car, and take it to these guys.
Yeah, he has been to victory lane, but that was way back in race number 1 at Daytona. That was 15 races ago. As Brian Smith cuts down low and takes that first position away. I think if there's one thing this whole field, or most of this field, could agree on, is we don't want to see Brian Smith out front, because we might not be able to get back around him after what we had happen last week.
John Ross trying to change that statement right now. Here you go. Oh, he makes contact. A little bit of side drift to go. They are 3 wide for the lead. John Ross looking for that 2-for-1 special. We are loving, touching, and squeezing right now. Coming out of turn number 2.
Yeah, I just have the feeling Ross was trying to get aggressive with the side draft on the 30, and the 30 decided to go to the middle and try to split both of them, and I'm not sure the 44 was ready for that. But no harm, no foul. As Patty continues in P2, Bentley Glazer trying to take 3rd away from Ross. And they are going to get a run into this corner on Smith.
I love the different lines that these cars are running right now. They got cars from the top to the bottom. Here's 3 wide. Here comes the Rocket, Zach Lockett. He is up to 8th, just outside of your screen. Oh boy.
And it is getting hairy back here in the pack. Both of these lanes getting a good push down the front stretch. Looks like Michael Taylor going to take it for now.
I mean, okay, 10 years ago, if you would have said we're going to be drafting at a Michigan, whoa, hello.
Hang on to it, Zach.
Saves it. That might very well be the move of the race. Or the save of the race, but
Great save.
A couple of years ago, if you had said we're going to be drafting at a Michigan, I'd call you crazy.
It really has become one of those quintessential next-gen tracks, as you have to fight for clean air in the turns, drive out of your mirror, and then draft as hard as you can, both behind and with that side draft down the straightaways. As we're 3 wide back here for 20th.
Okay, I like Ethan Van Colley's little message. It says, "Hey, Mama, I'm on TV."
You absolutely are. We hope Ethan's mom is watching out there in YouTube land. He had a little bit of side-by-side contact and has lost a few positions with that momentum coming with that door bang. Up front, Braxton DeWeese working his way into the top 5, now trying to get 4th away from Bentley Glazer. And Jonathan Duncan has appeared as well. He's going to try to build that momentum on the high line.
I like these. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's. You know, we got less than 10 laps to the end of the stage. Whoa! Just as I say that, Braxton DeWeese slipping back there. Jonathan Duncan and Bentley Glazer battling to the outside. You know, and Shane, I'm sure you during this track. You know, this almost drives like a Fontana or California Speedway.
Absolutely, both of those, you know, big 2-mile style tracks. In the Cup race today, drivers were hitting about 204 miles an hour, which is, I think, makes this the fastest track on the circuit.
That's the IndyCar speeds there.
You can see everybody back here giving a lot of healthy bumps to those rear bumpers of the guys in front of them. And there's just not a lot of clean air to go around. As John Ross is working on Brian Smith. He has gotten to his inside, and Braxton DeWeese is going to come along for the ride. It just seems like when you catch a guy, you've got to go low to try and make the pass. But if the outside lane gets lined up, there's not much you can do about it.
John Ross has got to get back in the line there. 4 laps away from, well, I should say 5 laps away from the stage.
We do have some breaking news in the YouTube chat. See, Luke Snyder is reporting that Smith smells like cheese. It might go
what kind
well
of
with
cheese?
that
Gouda?
Johnsonville scheme he's got going there.
Is it Gouda? Cheddar? Pepper jack?
Yeah, I think on a Johnsonville, I think I'm just going straight cheddar.
Sharp? Fancy? It's a whole new line of questioning there.
Now we see everybody packed up together, but there actually is a break a little bit back there, and a second pack kind of forming up, and they are single file. They aren't battling the same way our top 10 are at the moment. Handful of cars almost kind of losing the draft way in the back. One of those is one of our perennial favorites, Nathan Finnegan, picking up a little bit of damage maybe in that first caution. He is off the pace, maybe needing another caution so we can come down and make some repairs.
This is a, oh, we got a card. That looks like
Widener?
Charles Widener.
That's the second time we've seen a driver take a side swipe down to the inside of that backstretch and save it.
The force is strong with these drivers.
Brian Smith swinging way out, trying to break that draft. Keep Ross there behind him, but Ross going to try the bottom again.
Oh, boy.
Remember, that first stage is coming at lap 25, which means we are 5 laps away. These drivers know it. They want that bonus point. They want those bragging rights. Deweese now looking inside on Smith.
You know, Deweese had that. He's like,
he gets loose.
He got loose. Braxton Deweese would love to pick up another win on the season. Also, 3 wide for second. Here comes Bentley Glazer. So here's the thing, Shane. No one does 3 wide better than the Icon Cup Series.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone just seems to be driving right on the edge of what these next-gen Cup cars can do. And even when we've seen so much contact, everybody's still keeping it straight, except for that one caution early on. Glazer getting a big push from the 4 of that's Jacob Smith. Right along with Jacob and just see what it looks to push someone down the backstretch here at Michigan. You can see Brian Smith in the lead out there. All of these guys trying to work together. A little co-opetition, I believe is a Larry McReynolds term.
I love it. Coopetition.
We got to work together until we get to the front. You see Jonathan Duncan coming up in his mirror, giving him a push as well. Just great racing. Brian Smith kind of running away from these guys for just a minute with a half-second lead. When Deweese got loose, they kind of stacked up. Everyone from second on back. Kyle Purcell working on Charles Woods. He's going to take that one for 9th place. As Ross and Patty continue to battle for second. Oh, you can see Patty getting loose.
And that's the tires. They're screaming right now. They're hot and worn out. And these guys have ran, 21, 20, 23, 24 hard laps around this racetrack.
Ooh, they're stacking up here in this second little group. This is the battle for second all the way back through 9th. Come down the backstretch on lap 25. We should be coming to the stage here. John Ross was broken away from the pack. Not quite going to have enough to catch Brian Smith as he comes out of turn 4. And they are 4 and 5 wide back in this pack once again. And there is our stage. Brian Smith taking stage 1 here in the Michigan 240 in the Icon Cup Series. And while these drivers get ready to come down pit road for the first big scale pit action here tonight, we're going to step away for a quick commercial break and be back for the green flag. Welcome back here to Michigan International Speedway with the Icon Cup Series. We have just wrapped up stage number 1. And so far, we just had that lap 3 caution, just one caution. Patrick Colby and Nathan Finnegan involved. A couple other drivers sliding through the grass as well, trying to avoid it. And then our stage winner was Brian Smith for stage 1. John Ross started on the pole. He's still in that front pack. He's been battling for the lead a good bit. So far, only Brian Smith and Ryan Patty have led laps here tonight.
You know, I tell you one thing right now, Shane. So get ready to come back to green. I'm glad we're up here in the broadcast booth.
This does feel stressful. You know, this is actually building a lot of anxiety down in the pit of my stomach because in 3 weeks, my league's championship finale is here at Michigan. So I'm hoping to learn a few things, but it is making me nervous.
Yes.
And that green flag is out. Once again, Brian Smith leads Jonathan Duncan and John Ross into turn 1. Ryan Batty makes it 3 wide right away, going up high. Oh, and they squeeze him into the wall. That's Glazer. Heavy contact with the wall. There's a couple drivers getting together.
Brian Smith gets away cleanly. Hey, so we're going to settle this one out. We're going to lap 50, boys. We still got 20 laps to go.
Yeah, I checked my crew chief notebook. The fuel window is somewhere around 26 laps. So these first 2 stages, we should be okay. Nothing to really worry about too much. But in that final stage, you are going to have to do some math and figure out the best time to get down to pit road. Not an easy task with speeds up over 200 miles an hour. So we've gotten a little bit single filed out here at the front. Brian Smith pulling away.
All I'm gonna say, John, for Shane, is make sure you have everything unchecked before you come down pit road that you don't want to check.
We check on the speeds we see running here. Jump on with Cody Neal. He's back in the pack, battling hard. Getting a great push in the draft. I saw 197 as the fastest there.
Right now, if you're Brian Smith, you really want to slow the race's pace down, even though you can make it, you know, one old stage without. Sir, even though you can make it one whole stage with, do it, John.
Well, yeah, I feel like, you know, one of the things I was curious about is in the real life cup race today, we saw some drivers downshifting and some drivers not. We were just following with Cody Neal. He seemed to be staying in 5th the whole way around, but jumping on board with Smith, you can see him downshifting to 4th and carrying that most of the way down the front stretch. Jump in with Ryan Patty in P2, trying to chase down Brian Smith. Let's see if he's doing any shifting. No, he's sticking in 5th, so we've got a nice spectrum here of driver strategies. I would imagine sticking it in 5th and staying there is going to save your rear tires just a little bit. but I'm sure dropping down to 4th probably helps rotate the car.
It does. And it's going to save those tires.
Braxton DeWeese in 3rd. See him getting a little loose on exit. He's using the downshift. And Jonathan Duncan in 4th. Yeah, he's downshifting too. That might be the most popular strategy as we kind of check on board. But Jacob Smith, he's in 5th. I'd be curious to see how this plays out as we have if we stay green here, we should have the longest green flag run of the night to that second stage. They can get to Brian's bumper, but what are they going to do when they get there?
Probably go past him.
As Patty tries to do it on the high side. It looked good at the middle of the turn, but wasn't able to carry all that momentum through the exit.
Lucas Wurtenberger wants to know who John is. Well, he's my imaginary friend.
Well, I hear him too, Alan, so we both belong in the same place, whether that's in the booth or the loony bin. 3 wide, back for 23rd. Just great racing all the way through this field. We still have 38 cars on track, 37 of them on the lead lap.
I had to.
And again, poor Nathan Finnegan, all by his lonesome out back. Got to imagine he has some engine problems from that early contact into the wall. Otherwise, I would have expected to have it repaired by now.
Yeah, not having a fun night is Nathan Finnegan, who we normally see up here in the front of the field, but he said had an earlier contact with the wall, and he might have some engine damage trying to work through. Maybe he can take in these first 2 stages and getting that car fixed and getting ready for stage 3.
Yeah, Finnegan, the only driver in the standings other than Brian Smith with multiple wins on the season.
Braxton DeWeese is another driver with 1 win. Would love to get another win here, right along with Ryan Patty. These 2 drivers are hungry. You know, and vacations can be really good, especially in a league like this, where, you know, there's no breaks built into the schedule. So, you know, I mean, you miss a race, especially if you're Ryan Patty, get that win number 1 out of the way at Daytona, and then, you know, you can build your own break in there, take a weekend off, like you did at Nashville, and then you're fresh to go here, and it could be a really good reset for you.
Yeah, Ryan also does a lot of work for Icon outside the car every week, so getting a break from that can also help him refocus, come with this great speed and energy we see him with tonight. Most of this front pack now single file. So kind of look back. There are some battles happening here. Jake Champion working on Patrick Colby, Kyle Purcell. I think that's Evan Patinko just ahead of them in the 81.
Here's the other thing too. There's a lot of drivers from Michigan in this race, so this is simply a home race for those guys.
Take a look here. The 32 of Cody Eldred. He's in 22nd. but he has gained 14 spots from the beginning of this race, basically starting in the back today. He's on the move, still got a long way to go as we see a little bit of contact with Anthony Tizio. And again, this is 3 wide for 22nd. There is no breathing room anywhere in the field tonight.
No, there's not a room. There's not even a little bit of room for error either. I mean, you gotta hit your mark. You gotta be just so smooth.
Oh, who's that? Somebody's off in the back. The 24, Brock Hersey. Also seeing that Kyle Diaz and Cody Neal are off track. There they are. There goes Neal.
There's a cousin.
They're going to walk that one back and take a look. I think Kyle Diaz was the first car off.
I seen the smoke back there, but I didn't know where the fire was.
We were riding along. Let's go real time. Oh, Neal gets loose. They both go down to the grass to try and save it. A lot of bumps down through that infield. Maybe not too much damage there.
Had Cody Neal not got turned, I mean, it's a racing deal, but had he not went sideways or perpendicular to the racetrack, it would have been no caution.
Let's watch that again. Focused on Cody Neal in the 38. Tries to slide up behind the 95 and just gets loose, and Diaz kind of has no time to react, nowhere to go to get out of the way. And then Neal, trying to keep his car down on the apron, actually collects Kyle Gilbert. I think Kyle was already a lap down, so he didn't need that.
Nope.
Let's jump on board with Gilbert and see just how fast this car catches up to him. He's got a car on the outside, so he can't go all the way up to the wall. Oh, and he tries to split the difference and get under him. Definitely a tough ride there for Kyle Gilbert in the 227. That was our third caution, and the second one being the stage break, so really our second caution for a cause here on lap 44.
I do love to see that James on Main car of Braxton DeWeese up there in the front, though. That's a good sight to see. He's had a lot of good runs here just lately, just haven't been able to put one together since his last win.
Yeah, we know the folks down at Jane's on Main are pulling for that 8 car.
If he wins, there's going to be a huge party down here at Jane's on Main.
All right, this is going to be the first time we see a little bit of strategy playing out with just a few laps to go before the stage ends. Looks like the top 20 or so stayed out, and everyone behind them coming down pit road just now. I would imagine those drivers are going to try to stay out at the stage end and gain some track position. The first driver in that position is going to be Adam Ball, and so somewhere back around 20th or so. The positions are still working themselves out in the leaderboard.
Well, here we are, lap 47, third caution, second caution for cause. Brian Smith leads Braxton Lewis and Jacob Smith. That's your top three so far as we get ready to come back to Green Flag Racing. The Iracing.com pace car lights are out. I call it a pace car. It's really a truck.
This is the first time we've seen Jacob Smith this far up in the field. He might be the driver that can get around Brian, although they are teammates, so we'll see how hard he pushes to get around that 78. And a big bump there as Ryan Patty was ready to roll. Ross trying to decide which of these cars to follow into turn one. Luis down low on Smith. Able to stick his fender in there. See if he can get some side draft down the backstretch. He's going to get a push from Patty as well. Ooh, and they're leaning on each other. Luis has to lift out of the throttle, give that position up to the 78. He might lose a few more along the way. Oh, and Patty is loose right in front of Jacob Smith. They're both in the wall.
Brian Smith going all the way down to the apron.
And Bentley Glazer looked like he just went all the way to the bottom and passed who knows how many cars to get up to third place. Yeah, and Patty is in trouble there. He's got a little bit of aero damage on that right front. And these guys are running him over, trying to get everything here at the end of the stage. Brian Smith enjoying a 0.3 of a second lead. Looks like he's gonna win this stage without, unless he has an issue, but the racing is getting wild back here from fifth on back. They're 7, 8 wide almost. I can't even count at this point. Just look at that mess, Alan. And that's going to be the stage. Really impressed again. Everybody able to keep it clean. I think we were literally 6 wide at one point.
I mean, you can do. These guys are using every inch of this racetrack. Congratulations to Brian Smith for the stage 1 and stage 2 win.
And once again, as these drivers line up to head down pit road and re-rack and restack for the end of this race, we're going to step away for a commercial break here with SRM and the Icon Cup Series at Michigan. Welcome back, everybody watching out there in YouTube land. We appreciate you tuning in for the Icon Cup Series on Sim Racing Media, our Sunday night special. We are having quite the race here in the Michigan 240. We just finished stage 2. That means we have seen 2 cautions for accidents so far. The first involving Patrick Colby and Nathan Finnegan. The second on lap 44. Cody Neal getting loose off the nose of Kyle Diaz. Brian Smith sweeping both stages. Just great action. A lot of two wide racing, as well as many more side by side back in the field. We started this race with 38 cars. 4 of those drivers have made their way to the beer stand. And the other 34 are still out there with Kyle Diaz, the only driver 1 lap down. And we are coming back to the green flag. It's Jonathan Duncan, or I'm sorry, Nathan Brzezowski and John McNeil up front. We mentioned a little bit of pit strategy there before the end of the stage. These drivers not pitting at the end of stage 2, able to gain all that track position. And we are racing again at Michigan.
You remember the 2 and 3 wide? There we go. Once again, Brzezowski, Purcell battling it hard for the. Oh, we got trouble.
Big wreck.
We got trouble. Zach Lock
Cars going everywhere.
Oh, no. We just saw the big one.
Wow.
Nathan Finnegan's night goes from bad to worse. Ryan Patty involved, Charles Wood, Sean Purcell, The Rocket, Zach Lockett, they're all involved. Pick a driver, they're probably involved.
Yeah, I'm seeing at least 12 drivers involved in that one. Starting with, take your pick. Everybody involved in that one. Let's just go back. And I'm not even sure where to start. We've got cars going everywhere. The first person I see crashed is Nathan Finnegan, but I know he was a little bit further back. So let's take a look around here. See if we can spot where this one got started. There it is. The 74 and the 48 are the first 2 cars involved. So we can back it up. They're coming off turn 2, I believe, and Finnegan shoots to the outside, makes it 3 wide, and the 48, I don't know if he knew Finnegan was out there and that they didn't have any room on that one. And cars just colliding on repeat. Zach Lockett, another one of those involved. Let's take a look at Jeff Dillon in the 52. He gets collected once this wreck has already gotten started. It's Cody Eldred and the 98 try to make their way through unsuccessfully. Ryan Patty was playing it really safe, and then I think he got tapped from behind by the 5 who was trying to come through and check up. Then T-Bone there as well. Brock Hersey also involved. Hersey gonna make it through. Oh, until Patty gets there. Almost made it. We mentioned it. Zach Lockett involved. Sean Purcell. Nathan Finnegan. Let's take one more look at this one before we call it a caution and move on.
Well, I will say this though. While we're watching this, the beer stand probably just got a whole lot busier.
It did, and this is really going to shake up this race for a number of reasons. One, it's going to kind of reset the pit strategy again, and 2, a lot of our fast cars we'd seen at the front were back in traffic because of pit strategy, including Ryan Patty, Jacob Smith. They are still on pit road trying to get things taken care of. Kyle Diaz also down there. And that was the big one We talked about how great it is to have 38 cars on track, but that is the downside. You get 2 cars sideways basically right at the front as everyone is crammed together for the restart. There's just not a lot you can do there to avoid it once it gets started. And you can see a bunch of those drivers like Ryan Patty doing their best to get off of pit road, not lose a lap, come back down, maybe top off on fuel, maybe get a few more repairs done. But up front, avoiding all of that by being in the lead was Nathan Brzezowski in that 77. Last pitted on lap 45, which means he's going to need to pit in about 10 laps based on fuel. But so far, it's working.
Well, here we are, lap number 58, and getting ready to cross the line to lap 59 here when we go back to green flag racing. Not even halfway in the race.
Pace car is off. Driver is coming back to that Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air. And Brzezowski gets a pretty good jump there on the outside, but John Ross, your pole sitter, right behind him.
We got a car around. We got a car around. Yellow flag.
We've already got our 6th caution of the night. Charles Woods involved in that one. Go take a look at that. Yeah, just a bunch of cars here in the back, all single file because they pitted late, and just a mistiming there on the restart. Definitely not what you want to see, as everybody's trying to guess that exact moment the pack is going to go. And sometimes, especially when, you know, this would have been almost 30 cars in a row back to Charles. It's really hard to guess that right when everybody is kind of rubber banding and bouncing off each other coming to the green flag.
Yeah, definitely not wrong there. But Shane, here's the thing though. If you didn't come down pit road that last caution, you kind of get a do-over.
You're right. This does give all those drivers who were making repairs after that accident another chance to come down, make some repairs without losing a lap. It looks like the 27 of Gladelich has picked up a black flag somewhere around that restart. You wonder if maybe he went accidentally past someone as that wreck was happening and Iracing pegged him with that one. Sometimes you can ask race control to take care of something like that if you don't think it is founded, but certainly a bad night getting worse there for the 14. But Brzezowski saying, hey, I'm going to come down pit road. I'm not going to gamble too big. But Michael Jennings in P2, he does just the opposite. He last pitted on lap 45. So he's going to need to pit in about 10 laps from here.
I mean, for me, I don't want to burn a set of tires, but if I need to, I will.
Yeah, they had 5 additional sets tonight. I imagine you'd use one for each stage, and that would leave plenty, kind of 3 tires here for the final stage. If it stays green, you're only going to pit twice. As I mentioned, I think the fuel window is about 26 laps. So we now have 60 to go. It's still a two-stop race. I don't think you can make it here even if you tried saving on both of the final stints.
I mean, you could split it up into two 30-lap stints if you wanted to.
Well, 26 is the furthest, and I'm not sure we've seen anyone even really push it tonight as we take a look at our pit strategy board. Yeah, 27 laps is the furthest we've seen anyone go so far tonight. And if you're watching that in real life Cup race today, you'd know that trying to stretch it on fuel lost a bunch of drivers of the race as Denny Hamlin was able to put the pedal down and run a couple of those guys out, including William Byron, who seemed like the guy that was going to run away with it.
You know, and I just hate it for these for these guys here that got caught up in the earlier accident. Even for Charles Woods, who just ended up bringing out the caution.
Yeah, and if you're Brian Smith, you got to be a little nervous now. You sweep both the stages, you get all that clean air up front. Right now, he is back in 18th position. Going to have to find his way through these cars if he wants to get back to the front and do it without getting caught up in any of this collateral damage. Again, we've had now 4 cautions for contact. As we head into 58 laps to go at the line. John Ross leads them to green. It's got Michael Jennings right there behind him. Jennings on older tires and a smaller amount of fuel than everybody there in that pack. Let's see if he can hold on for a few more laps and have his strategy play out. As now Glazer is up to second. Evan Patinko. Oh, we've got more cars going around.
Percy around, yellow flag. And Brzezowski's in it too.
Yeah, I think both of those drivers avoided hitting the wall. Oh, and almost run into each other trying to get turned around. And go back and take a look at what happened here with Brzezowski on the bottom, 3 wide. Looks fine so far. I think, yeah, the 24 Hersey maybe just didn't know he was there. I'm not sure why Hersey was coming down so far there on the backstretch unless he got loose. Let's right on board and see. Yeah, you can see the car just kind of rotates on him on exit. He didn't even have that much wheel in it. And right here, almost making contact.
You just hate it for those guys.
Yeah, it just seems like we've got a caution epidemic going on here. Starting with that big one on lap 55. Now we can't get back to racing clean.
I like that one. That one was good. That one was good.
Still 56 laps to go. Again, I don't think stretching the fuel is a viable strategy just yet. We're getting closer to it. but still a maybe two-stop strategy here to get you all the way. You know, if we ride under caution here for a few more laps, maybe a one-lap strategy will come into play, but it's going to be a long shot unless you can catch a whole bunch of cautions just like this one.
Maybe.
While we're riding along here, let's take a look at the Icon Cup Series schedule. We are here at Michigan on running 120 laps here, kind of dead center in the middle of the regular season. Next week, Icon was hoping to run the Mexico track, but it looks like Iracing is not going to have that in this build coming next week. So they are currently holding a poll, I believe, to pick 5 or 6 tracks and then use that random wheel of fate that we used back at the All-Star race to pick the track, to decide where they're going to go. I believe a lot of road courses were on the list to replace Mexico there. I am excited to watch that Mexico race in real life next weekend. Would love to see Daniel Suarez have a good race. He's been having a bit of a rough season, but you know he's going to be pushing hard.
That would be a home race for Daniel, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, another race where a guy who's not having a great season, SVG, could emerge as the favorite. But we'll have to wait and see what comes of the schedule here for Icon. Actually, I'm checking the Discord. I think they were spinning the wheel tonight to figure it out, and the choices are the Daytona Road Course, the Chicagoland Oval, Old Atlanta, Road America, Kentucky Auto Club, the Indy Road Course, or Sebring. Now that would be an interesting race. But we'll save that for next week, as they are coming back to the green here at Michigan.
Can I ride in a week off?
That would be, tempting. John Ross leading this field back to green here on lap 67. And again,
here we are 4 wide.
4, 5, 6. I mean, I'm having to use both hands to count tonight.
I'm not up to toes yet, but we're getting there. Whoa!
Whoa.
Jacob Smith gets into Ryan Patty there on your screen. No harm, no foul. Gets a little upset there.
Yeah, we kind of... just too much action to watch here. Up front, Evan Patinko trying to chase down John Ross.
Yikes. And there's here, right here is a battle for, I wouldn't dare say the lead, but there we go. Now we got some good battle in here. Kyle Purcell, that 3 car, Tyrone Ayers. Jonathan Duncan back there, battling it out. That's the looks like the 85 car.
Yeah, it's too many battles to watch. As now Michael Jennings is working on Evan Patinko. Patinko and Jennings both up 25 positions. Not to mention Chris Camburn in that 88 up 33 positions on the night. Driving all the way from the back to the top 4 right now.
Oy.
Now Jennings is that driver who has not pitted since lap 45. And that means he's been out there 25 laps. The longest we've seen anyone go is 27, but there were a lot of caution laps in there. I'd give him 3 or 4 more before he's going to have to dive down onto pit road. And while these guys are battling, you can see that 78 car shoot into frame. Just ran the fastest lap of the entire race. And he's going to go for that 2-for-1 special you love so much, Alan. Make it a 3-for-1.
I was going to say, it's a 2-for-1 special. Come on now.
Camber going to fight back on the outside, though. Especially with some help from Glazer. Now Braxton DeWeese is the fastest car on the track, running a 39.09. He's back in 12th, working his way up through the field. With help from Cody Eldred.
I like this fella right here, the 28 and the 16. Jennings and Patrick Colby there. And here comes Michael Taylor getting into the mix. And, you know, this is the first time that Brian Smith has not led this race right now. And he's mired back in traffic. This is a really good chance to see what he's able to accomplish up here.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, is this the battle for the lead? It's not quite. John Ross is a full second ahead of these guys battling side by side. Enjoying some clean air. So they get just a little bit singled out here.
He said, see you later.
Meanwhile, back around 10th, Jake Champion is battling with Anthony Tilio, Charlie Widener, and Braxton DeWeese. Kyle Diaz just ahead. And they're 2x2, 3 rows deep. Ooh, Jennings has to lift. I think he's out of fuel, Alan.
Oh no, he's falling back like a rock. He's losing position.
Yeah, he's at lap 29 on this run. He needs to get to the bottom, I imagine. That was kind of an awkward spot to slow down. He's still out there.
He's still passing cars.
Maybe he's got a second fuel tank he was hiding from the inspection. Yeah, 29 laps on this fuel run for Michael Jennings.
Something seems kind of froggy there.
But Brian Smith now up to second place, trying to chase down Ross, who still has a second lead. Ross just sailing away.
I mean, you can see that the interval just kind of steadily get a little bit wider and then shrink down a little bit.
Colby was just up there battling for the lead, and he's dropped back now out of the top 10. Michael Taylor not going to let Smith get away. But as they're side by side, John Ross has now built up a 1.3 second lead over this group.
Yeah, almost a second and a half all the way back to Michael Taylor and Brian Smith, who are battling pretty hard side by side. Enter into the picture of Bentley Glazer.
And Michael Jennings is still out there. My math must be off at this point because he's now at lap 32.
Is your math not mathing?
Glazer now gets under the 08. Jacob Smith battling Charlie Widener for 8th. Everybody's got a partner right now.
It's almost what you need. You need a good trend.
Camburn is now falling all the way back to 16th. Another driver was just up there battling for the lead not too long ago. So see some smoke. I mean, John Ross is now almost 2 seconds ahead of Brian Smith.
Oh, boy.
He started on the pole, and he has the raw speed. We are now just 40 laps to go in the Michigan 240.
This is when you got to start thinking about that move. But you also got to start thinking about that pit stop too. When are you going to make that pit stop? When are you going to, essentially just... Or do you think you have enough to make it to the end? Here, John Ross is over 2 seconds ahead now.
I mean, Michael Jennings is the car I'm still watching. We're going to learn what that fuel window is from him. Now 35 laps for Ross. I mean, at this point, John Ross is 29 laps into his run. Brian Smith, 21 laps. Michael Taylor, 25 laps. And there goes Jennings. He's pulling down after 36 laps on track. We still have 38 to go, so he might need to pit again unless he can pull out some more of that magic fuel we saw him have on that run.
I mean, I think he could pull out some of that magic fuel. Got Michael Taylor there trying to make a move in the middle. Here comes that number 8, James on main by Braxton DeWeese. They are taking 3 wide. Oh boy, thinking about it.
Oh, the 5 car in the wall. Ryan Patty up to 9th. We saw him involved in some heavy contact with the wall not too long ago. He's on the move. Jake Champion tags the wall. Kind of have the feel that Patty is on a mission to make up for that contact. We know he pitted a couple times, got his repairs done as he needed. And up front, you know, I want whatever John Ross is having. He's now almost 3 seconds ahead of Brian Smith.
Yeah, he's the one to watch right now. Brian Smith. And, you know, here's the thing. This is one of those tracks that will play into the plays into John Ross's driving style and, you know, his ability to save fuel. I see it 3 seconds ahead of Brian Smith. I mean, could this be the week that Brian Smith gets taken off the pedestal?
I mean, he's still on the podium for now, Alan, so we're going to need a few more drivers to get up there and give him the bumper. Four wide down the front stretch. Patty, Deweese, and Colby. A few more drivers now hitting pit road, including John Ross. Pitting out of the lead with 2.7 second gap back to second. You mentioned he was just a few laps shorter on fuel than Brian Smith.
And just as you say that, here we are. Brian Smith back into the lead. Kyle Diaz right behind him. And these guys cannot go the distance.
No, I think everybody in the top 25 all need to pit one more time. And take a look at those stints. See a couple drivers making it 36 laps. Trying to see where Ross was when he came into pit. We can extend that back to Ross. Yeah, Ross made it 35 laps. Kind of splitting it even. He'll have 35 to go from there to the finish. There are now 31 laps to go. I think that pit window is open for everybody. John Ross back in 24th position, so those first 23 cars all have a shot. It looks like Jacob Smith maybe thought about coming to pit road. He got hard on the brakes and loose. Michael Taylor going to come down right now.
Michael Taylor coming down.
We got Eldred and Patinko as well. Now Tyrone Harris in the 3. Brian Smith still up there in the lead. And here's the interesting thing, Alan. This track is so big. John Ross was able to pit and take, let's see, how long was his stop? Take a full 15-second pit stop and still come out on the lead lap.
Now, when this circles back around, though, John Ross should cycle back to the lead.
Now, the question is going to be with how much of a gap. Chuck Van Schaik currently in P2, just ahead of Jacob Smith. As Brian Smith is hitting pit road. Patrick Colby going to follow him in along with Kyle Purcell. That cycles to 23 to the lead. Well, it did until Jacob Smith dropped to his inside right there. Still 15 cars on track that have not pitted. John Ross is that first car pitted. He's in 16th position. Bentley Glazer behind him in 17th. As more drivers hit pit road. Ross is leapfrogging his way up to the top 10. Now 10 cars that have not pitted.
Yeah, these guys are going to come down by the groups.
Here they come. Duncan, Patty, Smith, Widener, Brzezowski. Chuck still out there, though. I think he's going to gamble, run as long as he can, see if he can catch a caution.
He's done that strategy before and it's worked.
No, he's going to come down. That's going to leave Braxton DeWeese in the lead. John Ross 30 seconds behind Braxton. As now Chuck is followed by John McNeil and Brock Hersey down that pit lane. Just 5 drivers who haven't stopped now. We got cars all the way around the track. Still just 2 or 3 drivers that have not pitted. Braxton DeWeese going to drop out of the lead right there, and that is going to cycle back to the 44 car of John Ross, as he is now coming down the backstretch, and DeWeese is in the pits. Bentley Glazer, the next car in line, running second here, but 2 seconds back behind Ross. Brian Smith a whole 6 seconds back behind John Ross, but with much fresher tires, about 5 or 6 laps. I imagine he's going to be pushing, and Braxton DeWeese coming out of the pits. Now he's going to cycle back out of the top 10.
This is where John Ross just puts on his cruise control. He's going to make it to the end no matter what he needs to do.
Now that they're a little bit spread out, why don't we do a rundown of our top 10 drivers, starting with John Ross. He started on the pole. He is enjoying a 3-second lead over second place. That's the 87 of Bentley Glazer. Having a great run here tonight. Another 0.8 back is the 27 of Jake Champion. Running third. Another second behind him, Kyle Diaz. Everybody spread out, almost kind of the same spacing here. Chris Camburn in the 88, running in P5. And there's Brian Smith. Brian led 46 laps so far today, but John Ross is encroaching on that number to lead the most laps. He's now led 29. Jacob Smith, another second behind Brian. He was up front earlier when everybody was bunched together, but now 6 seconds out of the lead. Patrick Colby right behind Jacob, and Michael Jennings right behind him. We saw him just run that tank dry to let that strategy bring him up where he is, up 21 positions from the start of the race. The last driver in the top 10 is Chuck Van Schaik. We know Chuck can get it done. Again, he kind of gambled by running long there. Going to have fresher tires than everybody around him, but not the track position to do anything about it. And John Ross continues to drive away. Bentley Glazer had a very slow lap that time around, as Ross's lead is now over 4 seconds.
That's crazy.
With 20 to go, I'm not sure anybody is going to be able to catch Ross without a caution at this point.
Well, John Ross is hoping to stay green. Jake Champion says we need a caution.
Yeah, Champion has gotten around Bentley Glazer. You can see all these other drivers are starting to coalesce from second on back to about 8th. All in frame here as you look back through these drivers. A couple lap cars peppered in here as well.
Yeah, just 20 laps to go. I think John Ross definitely has enough fuel to make it to the end.
He should. That'll be a 33 lap run for him. As we said, I think he did 35 on his last run, all green flag laps. Sitting pretty now. Out front, clean air, no one around him. We come back to champion Brian Smith, who's made his way up to P3 around Bentley Glazer. Take a peek at the lap time. You know, Brian is going to move up to second. That last lap, he was 4/10 faster than John Ross, which means he might actually have a shot at catching him. But I'm not sure if he can do it without someone to draft off of just in front of him. Take a look at the last few laps here. Yeah, Smith a half second faster than him the majority of the last 5 laps. Doing his best to catch John Ross. Glazer now under fire from Jacob Smith. The rest of this top 5 have all caught back up to each other and getting back to some of that drafting battling. As they both go around champion.
I think at this point champion is just along for the ride.
He did pit a little bit earlier than those 2 guys in front of him, but just a couple of laps. We catch back up with John Ross and Brian Smith. And that gap is coming down, Alan. 3.6 the last time around.
It's still a whole ways away. But yeah, you're right. That gap is steadily decreasing. Just a tenth here, a tenth there.
Let's see if we jump on board with Brian. Yeah, you can see John way up there. About a half straightaway away now. 14 laps to go. Brian was 0.2 faster that last lap. 0.2 is not going to cut it. He's going to need at least 0.3 a lap to catch him before the end. As he catches the wall just a little bit, you can see the differential there fading a little bit. It was 3 4/10 a lap. 0.2 the last lap. We'll see what he gets this time around on lap 107. Using every bit of the track to try and catch John Ross. There it is, just under 0.3. Gonna need to be more than that.
Well, John Ross's car is starting to get a little bit bigger inside of Brian's front windshield.
As the YouTube live chat starting to fire up for fans of John Ross and Brian Smith. Dominic says there's blood in the water, and Brian Smith is deleting time on John. We want to know, who do you think's going to win? Can Brian Smith track down John Ross? And you know what? Jacob Smith is kind of drafting along with him. He might get there too if there is a battle for the lead before this thing is over. Meanwhile, the battle for 5th is heating up as well. Champion Glazer, Chuck Van Schaik, and Colby looking there. And back behind them, Ryan Patty and Braxton DeWeese are bumper to bumper.
I don't know. I think Brian Smith just runs out of time.
Yeah, and I think either John had been saving a little something in his tires, or Brian used his up coming up through the field. See the gap continuing to go down. Now 2.6 seconds with 10 to go. That makes the math really easy. You need at least 2.5 tenths every lap from here on out. Smith to catch him, and he's just not able to carry that much speed here over the last 5 laps. He is faster than the 44, but just not enough.
If John Ross can keep that interval of a 2.5 second lead, I think he's going to be all right. That's what John Ross needed to do, put lap cars between him and Brian Smith.
Yeah, that time gap just kind of staying right at that 2.5 second mark at this point. DeWeese has gotten around Ryan Patty. That is for 8th position. Chris Camburn hitting pit road here with 7 to go.
Well, that's like bunting with 2 outs.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. It was only 26 laps. it was a quick stop for him.
Flashing, you got to get him to the end, maybe. Ooh, John Ross coming down pit road.
Out of fuel with 7 to go. Again.
Oh, no.
No, John. Oh, and he picked up a black flag on pit entry as well.
Oh, no.
I'm speechless, Alan. We were watching John just run away with it.
Excuse me 1 minute before I go pick my jaw up off the floor.
And again, we saw drivers making it 36 laps on fuel on previous runs. That's just 27 here for Ross. He did pit earlier than everybody else, but I would have thought that was enough to make it based on what we've seen earlier.
Oh, man. What a tough break.
And suddenly, a 3-second gap between first and second is just 0.3, as Jacob Smith is now right on the bumper of the new leader, Brian Smith. This changes everything. Heartbreak for Ross, as he not only has to pit for fuel, but has to serve that 40-second penalty for speeding on entry. I think it was speeding. I thought he got on pit road pretty clean. Go back and take just a quick look at his pit entry. Yeah, you can see him lock it up right there, and he's already past the cone at that point. A costly mistake. But again, I think he was already going to be out of it because of the fuel situation. The 15 car also hitting pit road now. We have 3 laps to go. Let's just double check this fuel situation. Brian Smith, 25 laps. Bentley Glazer, 29. Again, I'm really perplexed by why John Ross was on pit road so soon. Unless he didn't get that car full of fuel, but I believe he had a 15-second stop in that cycle, so I can't imagine he didn't get it all in.
3 laps left in the books. 2 to go.
Yeah, we're going to have to ask these drivers that come up in the booth post-race, what was the fuel window? There it is, white flag in the air for Brian Smith. Jacob Smith hot on his trail, but probably too far away to make a move now. Chuck Van Schaik in third at the moment. As Brian is coming down the backstretch for the final time here in Michigan. Jacob throwing it down low, not going to get there. Brian Smith coming off of turn 4. And he is going to keep this train a-rolling. Victory in Michigan after winning at Nashville 1 week ago. Again, Jacob Smith coming in second and Chuck Van Schaik in third. How about that, Alan? We saw him dominate early, And then Ross take over the throne, only to be caught out of fuel, presumably. We'll have to ask around and see if that was the case for John Ross. Heartbreak here at Michigan.
I'm heartbroken for John Ross.
There's a 4-car going to join him for the burnout victory pose. Let's see who we can get up in the booth for us, Alan. While we wait for them to be ready, take a look at our race recap. John Ross started on the pole, had a couple cautions early. The third one being the big one, 12 or more cars involved in that one. Then we had a run of cautions there to start stage 2 to start stage 3. Then we kind of cleaned it up. The final green flag pit stop cycle completed around lap 95 with Ross in the lead. And then on lap 115, we saw him come down pit road, presumably out of fuel. And Brian Smith ends up taking it home after leading 53 laps. We've got these guys here. Alan, why don't you talk to our third place finisher, Chuck? You got Shane and Alan in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, look, man, what a good run here. If there's anybody that can save fuel, it's you. Take us to that race. And what was the fuel strategy that you thought that you needed to get by and win this race, or to have a shot?
I mean, the first 2 stages, my short run speed's not the best. I like to take care of my equipment. So, I started 6, ended up back at like 15th in a blink of an eye because people were 3-4 wide, and I was just backing out, living the fight, another day. Same thing in stage 2. I think I finished 12th, but I restarted like 9th. I just fell back, then worked my way back up. The second one, I just kept topping off because, based on the people that were around me, I knew everyone was shifting. I wasn't. So I didn't shift the whole race, which probably is accounting for the slow, beginning part of my run. But, second half of my runs, I was just picking them off one by one and kind of kicking myself. I should have went into the pits. I think I had 5 laps left. So I probably could have went into the pits a lap or 2 earlier, and I could have been there with Brian. I definitely could have had the other Smith. I mean, we were messing around and passing each other, and I caught him right before the green flag stops. But yeah, it was all in all, it was fun. Good team finish, 3, 4, and 7. And just it was good to have some green flag runs there.
Look, man, before we get you out of here, is there anybody that you like to help you get it done on that number 23 car?
I mean, you guys for the broadcast, the admins of Icon, love this league. Glad that I joined it. To the teammates down at Dragonfly, Patrick, and trying to see here, Patrick and Jonathan. And then to, my company, GoRacingDiecast.com, all the drivers I sponsor, all the leagues I sponsor, kind of keeps me coming out every night instead of going to bed. So I appreciate everybody.
All right, well, have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, thanks.
Next driver we want to chat with, our P2 driver, Jacob Smith. Jacob, tell us about your night.
Yeah, that was a rough night. Had a good run in stage 1. Got about 2 minutes and at the end of stage 2 or beginning of stage 3, just had to get all the damage clicked off, and then it was just it's a fuel mileage race almost at the end there. So felt really good coming back through the field, and once I got within Brian's, I don't know, less than a half second behind Brian, the dirty air was just too bad. I couldn't overtake him.
Yeah, I think one of the questions we had up here in the booth is what in the world was the fuel window My calculator was saying it was somewhere around 27 laps, and then we saw a couple drivers do almost 37 laps. What was going on there?
I don't know how they were doing 37, but a full fuel run is about 28, 29 laps if you can manage it. So guys who were doing 37 must have just stayed out on yellow flags. But yeah, it was a tight window at the end. I had, I think, less than a lap at the line, so it was super close.
Yeah, as you were riding there in third, it kind of seemed like John Ross was going to run away with it, and all of a sudden you went from completely out of it to having a shot at the leader, Brian, just in front of you. How did that feel with about 3 or 4 laps to go?
Oh, it was great. We knew John was toast on his fuel strategy. He stayed out too long, and yeah, I think Braxton and I went and topped off at the end, so I think he and I were some of the best on fuel. Brian was 1 lap shorter than we were, so we knew John was toast, and it was just a matter of if a yellow came out, we would have totally been screwed. So glad it stayed green. Had a great run there at the end of stage 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on the race. It was exciting to see. I think we had 38 cars out on the track, and incredible big wrecks, big action, and big speed. So congratulations on P2, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we took some notes here. Brian and I were at MIS. Mike was at MIS. I think Cody Neal was there. So took some notes from the drivers today and made it back in time for the race tonight. And just glad we were able to get this Midwest Euro Parts Ford Mustang back in on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
And that is going to leave us with Brian Smith winning the race after leading 53 laps. Brian, tell us about it.
Oh, man, guys, this really capped off an awesome day. Got to go to the real race this afternoon out in the Irish Hills here at the Buddy Motorsports home track, and hung out with Jacob for a little bit there, so it was super cool to bring it home 1-2 with him. And just what an awesome race. Had a couple wreck avoidances that were super close. Those restarts are super sketchy off turn, too. Some guys stayed out and sent me back in the field a little bit. It was nice to sweep the stages. Just an all-around great night. When that third stage started and we were getting those frequent yellows, I was keeping an eye on when that fuel window would open to make it a one-stop race. And I was telling my teammates, I was like, as soon as that opens up, I'm hitting pit road, because I'm going to feel like an idiot if it goes green when I could have just topped it off, because I knew I had the speed. And sure enough, it stayed green, and I made it with half a lap of fuel left, and I'm talking to you guys in victory lane. So, yeah, could not be happier about the way this went tonight.
Yeah, and how confident were you in that fuel window? Again, a big topic of conversation for us is we were trying to guess what it was. At first, I thought it was, around 27 laps. And we saw some guys able to make it almost a 37 saving fuel under caution. So how confident were you in your fuel number there on that final run?
I was not confident at all, to be honest with you. And when I had Jacob in my ear telling me that, he had more fuel than me, I was feeling even less confident. I knew it was somewhere around 27, 28 laps. When I had to pit under green on that last run, I had like 7/10 of a lap saved up. And so that all went to waste. So I was feeling really nervous. I knew it was going to be close, but it was so close that I had to try it. I wasn't about to try and two-stop it or something, So in the end, a little bit of luck out in the Irish Hills, and got it done.
Yeah, I think you said it. You were at the race today, this afternoon. William Byron runs out of gas, gives up the win to Denny Hamlin, and we see something similar happen here as Ross not able to make it all the way to the finish on fuel, gives up that big lead. And congratulations. Like you said, you led the most laps tonight, 53, I believe, and keep this train rolling. And anybody else you need to thank, send some shout-outs to.
Yeah, Jacob did a great job tonight, finishing P2. Mike was fast tonight. Cody had some issues, but yeah, shout out to all the guys at Buddy Motorsports. We were all at the race today. It was cool to get back here and race the track we watched in person. That was pretty cool. But yeah, shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast as always. You guys do a good job, and hopefully everyone that was watching enjoyed it, because I sure enjoyed it driving on the track. So yeah, just a great night.
Yeah, we did have one rumor circulating in the live chat. I wonder if you can confirm or deny. Do you, in fact, smell like cheese?
I have no idea what that is in reference to, but
I think people are just enjoying that Johnsonville scheme and getting a little hungry.
Oh yeah. That makes sense. No, we keep the cheese scent and the meat scent away from the race car at all times. So this thing just smells like burnt rubber and Sunoco race fuel, virtually, of course.
All right. Well, congrats again on the win. We'll let you get back to celebrating with your team here on Sunday night. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you at Homestead.
Oh, is that what won the vote?
Unfortunately, that is what won the vote. I'm not happy
right.
about it. But yes, it is.
Well, then Homestead
So,
it is.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.
You too. Well, how about that, Alan? We go 240 miles at Michigan and have it come down to fuel mileage just like it did in the real life cup race here today. So we take one more look at our results. Brian Smith brings it home in first place. Jacob Smith second. Charles Van Schaik third. Patrick Colby in fourth. Braxton DeWeese rounding out the top five. Ryan Patty recovers from a couple accidents he was caught up into to get to sixth. Jonathan Duncan in seventh. Charlie Widener eighth. Kyle Purcell ninth. Kyle Diaz 10th. Bentley Glazer 11th. John McNeil 12th. Brock Hersey 13th. Michael Taylor 14th. Cody Eldred 15th. Robert Bloom 16th. Nathan Berzowski 17th. And Jake Champion in 18th. Then Evan Patinko 19th, Tyrone Harris 20th, Chris Camber 21st, Jacob Gladelich 22nd, Michael Jennings 23rd, Anthony Tizio 24th, Adam Ball 25th, John Ross 26th, Everett's in 27th, Van Collie 28th, Sean Purcell, Charles Woods rounding out the top 30, Zach Lockett, the Rocket, caught up in an accident early on, going to finish multiple laps down. Everybody outside the top 30 was caught up in something and not able to finish this one up front. Nathan Finnegan, 32nd. Jeff Dillon, 33rd. Thomas Taylor, 34th. Hanover Fist, 35th. Daniel Nyman, 36th. Cody Neal, 37th. And Kyle Gilbert will finish 38th and win the race to the beer stand, Alan. I think I'm about to head to the beer stand myself.
No. You deserve it, you know. Look, man, what a great race here. Next week we'll be in Miami Homestead at the Homestead Miami Speedway, as that had won the vote tonight in the big wheel. Well, if you like Miami, it's a wheel of fortune. But if you don't like Miami, well, it's the wheel of misfortune. But nonetheless, it's time to get out of here.
Yeah, we hope everyone had a great weekend and has a good week. And we will see you next Sunday night, the Icon Cup Series here on SRM.